I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people, not 2006.
Oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like,
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions episode. Once again, talking about free agency. It's been a crazy week, crazy 6 days, especially for the Giants. Crazy, actually, free agency moves because they almost had Arson Judge, and then they almost had Correa. But before we get to Correa, let's talk about Dansby Swanson. Austin, what do you think of Dansby Swanson being a Cub?
I like the move. A lot of their young guys coming up are either pitchers or outfielders. So I feel like getting a shortstop in the future is huge. And shortstop's one of the most important position players on your team. You always need a very good shortstop, or at least defensively speaking, to be a good team. If we look at previous champions that would hold through, in 2022, it was obviously the Cubs who had a great rookie, and then we had Dansby Swanson. 2019, we had Trey Turner, and then Xander Bogaerts in 2018, and then Correa in 2017, and in 16 that was the Cubs guy, Javi Baez, and you just keep going down. And normally, a good shortstop has to be on your team for you to make a significant run. So I feel like this is the first steps towards rebuilding.
Yeah, and now it allows them to have great middle infield with moving their shortstop Nico Horner to second. And people are talking about a lot of teams are focusing on defense now with the infield because you don't have the shift. And I think having Swanson and Horner defensively is going to be great. And I don't love the contract, but to me, compared to like all the other deals handed out, 7 years, he'll be 35. In the last year, I think that's still a very productive year for him in time. And it's only $25 million compared to the long contracts we've seen, 13 years. You had 10 with Corey Seager and $32 million a year. I think it's a manageable contract, and I think he'll bring some leadership. And like you said, they have other places in the system. They're missing a shortstop. Well, they had Nico Horner, but they just upgraded their middle infield. Now, I really like it, and now we'll see what happens. But I'm surprised the Braves didn't match this.
I think they believe in Vaughn Grisham, and then maybe this year picking up, like I said, Elvis Andrus before I said that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I could see that. I heard they offered him 6 years for 100. So I think they could have just gone up, but we'll have to see how Vaughn Grisham turns out or if they make another move. I think they just do a stopgap, which I think would be Andrews, and then you mix in Vaughn Grisham. And then he would probably take over the future. But I'm just unsure of him now learning the position because he didn't play much of it last year. He mostly played second base at the MLB level. So I just would not feel confident in their chances if they're like, hey, we're just going to start this guy. And while he's learning it, to me, it takes them a little bit for them to get back to what they were with Dansby as their shortstop.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. There's a lot of growth that needs from Vaughn Grisham and anyone else they put at shortstop, especially compared to what Dansby offered last year. Dansby was almost the best shortstop in baseball last year. He put up an outstanding year, and obviously he was on the team when they won the World Series, so there's definitely growth.
Yeah, and to me with the Cubs, it'd be great if they could get Dansby last year, but that was a career year for him, and if he keeps it up, that's great. If not, I still think Dansby, as a great defender and good good offense will help them in the future because they can add big thumpers in the lineup through their system or make a trade, and then they'll have good pitching. And they just have, I think, 1 or 2 more years of them kind of middling, and then the third year they'll start coming up and become a rising team in the NL.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Now let's get to Correa. I was just shocked. I thought it was weird when I woke up to it. I was like, what? I thought he was with the Giants. I saw they'd postponed the announcement or media day with Correa, but I thought it was mostly a done deal. And it seems like the Giants wanted more time to review his medical history. And Boris said, no, take it or leave it. And then he talked to Cohen, the Mets owner, and they made it work. And I'm shocked. I thought the Mets were done, but clearly they weren't. And it's just a shocking situation.
I don't really know what happened. Apparently, there was cold feet on both sides, and it's such a weird deal. It reminds me, and I hate to bring back bad memories of DeAndre Jordan with the Mavs. How he, in his prime, was literally signed basically to the Mavericks, and then was like, nope. After having dinner with Doc Rivers and some of the other, like Chris Paul and some of the other players for the Clippers. It's so breathtaking because you don't expect it. I was already like pinning him and Brandon Crawford and Carlos Correa in the middle infield together, and I don't know where they go now or if they try to make a different move because it kind of made it to where they can't make other deals with other shortstops. Like if they really wanted a shortstop, now they can't. So I don't know what happens.
Yeah, I really don't know what happens. Maybe they do a trade, or they're just like, hey, we'll figure out shortstop later. And I don't know. Like, it seems like he's going to be playing third with the Mets. So I don't know why you can do that with the Giants. They still have Crawford. But it's weird. And I get why they wanted to go through the medicals and get more details because they are committing a lot of money to
In
Correa.
years.
Yeah, in years. So there's something wrong with medical issues and you want to get that figured out. But I also understand Correa wanting to get paid in a huge amount, which he did, even though it's a little bit less, but still $300 million. And now the Mets look great, but I'm not sure if I'd still pick them as a World Series team. Like they're definitely going to be in the World Series.
You said that about the Mets?
Yeah.
I don't really know what happens. They are so star-studded right now that you can't help but seeing them raising the trophy at the end of the year. But again, normally with teams like that, they don't. So we'll have to see how the dynamic works. There's a lot of high ego players on that team now. A lot of guys that want to speak their mind and be a captain of the team, but there is no clear consensus on who the best player is or who the most impactful player will be. A lot of players on that team haven't been there for more than 3 seasons. Jeff McNeil and Pete Alonso, the ones with the longest tenure. I don't know. I'm kind of struck with how this team has been built, and I saw a stat. I just sent this to you right as we started recording, but I'll just say it aloud for everyone. The Mets have a higher payroll than 11 teams combined. The 11 teams are the Athletics, Brewers, Guardians, Marlins, Nationals, Orioles, Pirates, Rays, Reds, Royals, and Twins. You add up those 11 teams, they are less than the current Mets payroll for next season. $495 million.
Yeah. And did you see the thing I sent you on Twitter about the money, about the luxury tax?
I did not.
So 50% of the luxury tax money that Steve Cohen is paying, the tax that's the Steve Cohen tax, 50% of that luxury tax money goes to other MLB teams. And that amounts to Cohen will pay other MLB teams $55 million in 2023.
That is crazy.
So, and I remember, wasn't a few years ago there was 60 million was a team's payroll.
Less than that. I think
Yeah.
there was a team a couple years ago that was like 50 or 49.
So yeah, Steve Cohen is basically paying for another payroll, which is great for other teams, and it's crazy that he's willing to spend that money. I don't think he's going to constantly do that. I think he's doing that while the farm system gets better, because their farm systems, they don't have many like standout players. They have Beatty, who probably goes to left field,
And they had the
and
catcher,
Alvarez,
Alvarez, yeah.
and then pitching. And I think a lot of the money will come off in a few years when Verlander and Scherzer get off the books, and then they'll probably pay Alonso. But it's crazy and good for Steve Cohen. Um, and have you seen the stat about the net worth of the Reds and Marlins owner?
No.
So their net worth is around 500 million, which is the amount Steve Cohen is paying.
Yeah, it's 495 next year. Next year.
Yeah, and is that including tax?
I don't know. I think it may be, but I don't know.
Yeah, but we've definitely seen teams spend, just not like this rate, but the Dodgers, I think, were pretty high up in the payroll last year. They didn't win the World Series. Mets were spent a lot of money and they were a great team in the regular season, but then they fell. They didn't even win their division. So we'll see what happens. But defensively, that infield looks good.
It looks amazing, but again, I have to see it on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is really far ahead because the MLB season is not close to being started. There's still trades and moves that need to be made, but I can already name at least one team that's going to be on our championship or bust list.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's the Mets. Ooh,
Yeah.
man, it's wild. There are many teams who have to do that. But then there were some smaller deals which I kind of like. I think we already talked about the Gallo deal. We'll see what happens. But Martinez goes to the Dodgers.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
I
that
like
deal.
it too. It's a short-term deal. Then Brantley goes back to the Astros. Great job for them. They missed him last year, and they still won the World Series. And now, to me, they got better.
Yep.
So,
I totally agree. And then there's also the Justin Turner to the Red Sox.
yeah, it's just weird. It seems like he's going to be playing first.
Yeah, he will be because Devers, he has arbitration. He has to be basically brought back if they want to get anything for him. I think we can kind of go into our trades. I think if someone's getting traded, apparently they are galaxies apart in a long-term deal. Galaxies is what the reported word.
Yeah, I think Devers is in a Red Sox next year.
I totally agree. Well, for the full season, like he will be at the beginning of the year, and then I think eventually they make a trade because they have to.
Really?
Because
Yeah.
they have to sign him because of how arbitration works. He must be brought back basically, unless they don't give him a deal, which they already have. So they will be paying him something for next year, but he won't be long term. And I think part of the reason why they're galaxies apart is because Xander Bogaerts left, so he doesn't see a reason of not taking as much money as he can because there's no one else. Where's the money going? Like if you're gonna say, oh, maybe Chris Sale, but losing Xander Bogaerts really hurts. And another player that I think may get traded, Fernando Tatis Jr. I don't know where. Maybe that's the guy who goes to the Giants now that Carlos Correa is now gone. Maybe we see Fernando Tatis. The Giants have a great farm system. Maybe they make a move in that department. What do you think about both of those things I just said?
Yeah, I think Devers could be traded or he just signs elsewhere. Because like they traded Mookie away, couldn't get a deal done. Couldn't get a deal done with Bogarts, so why is he gonna take a deal when he can just go get paid in the market? Agree with that Tatis. Another trade, we could see Brian Reynolds move. Not sure though, because he has a lot of years. I think Glasnow gets moved.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of starting pitching, and a lot of the big name players are off the market. There's still Conforto. We could see what happens, but maybe Pablo Lopez, either from the Marlins. Maybe Liam Hendricks. I heard the White Sox. Did we talk about the White Sox move? The Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that, but that's still a big deal. It
It's the largest.
sure's up there. Outfield. What were we saying?
It's the largest deal given out in free agency by the White Sox.
Wow.
So that's wild. Their largest deal ever, and then Steve Cohen just paying for an entire roster. But yeah, those are some of the names I could see get moved. I also think Gleyber Torres gets moved from the Yankees to get another player. But I'm not. So he would be sent over in a deal. I'm not sure how you feel about that.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like there's still a lot that needs to be done, but it could work. Do you think it would?
I think it would make sense for them to trade him because then you can move LeMahieu at second. I'm not sure what they do at third because I think they're just stuck with Donaldson. But I think you could go get a left field if you wanted to.
Well,
Or you
third base
trade
I
for
feel
a
like would be
replacement.
LeMahieu, and then second would be Peraza. I mean, shortstop would be Peraza, and then second would be
Okay.
Torres. Right now,
Okay.
but if we call up Volpe, we can move Peraza to second and move Volpe to shortstop and play LeMahieu at third again. Who was again? He wasn't the utility Gold Glove Award winner because he couldn't play third base. He played amazing third base last year. And yes, I do think we're stuck with Donaldson, but I wouldn't play Donaldson as a everyday player at all. LeMahieu hopefully won't have to get surgery, in which case he will not miss the beginning of the year. If he does, he'll be out till about June, which would suck, but I just want him healthy.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is good at third base, and I think he'd just be great defensively at second. But they could also do that. You could also maybe put IKF at third because he's a good defender at third.
That's true, but I feel like he doesn't have any pop in his bat at all, while LeMahieu is arguably a better hitter on both sides as a contact hitter when he's because he was hitting 290 before he got hurt. The issue is his injuries, which is something I'm worried about. And then a deal I want to talk about that we've yet to mention Matt Carpenter to the Padres, 1 year, $12 million. He was amazing last year for the Yankees. I know he struggled in the playoffs, but you can't go from a broken foot to playing like that. That's such a hard change. So it's I cannot blame him at all for that playoff series, and he was amazing for us in the regular season. One of the most impressive. I was very close. We did our Christmas gifts not that long ago, and I said Judge. If Judge didn't break the record, I would have said Matt Carpenter because watching Cart play that game against Boston where he hit 2 homers, what a treat! What a treat! If we were also naming stocking stuffers along with our gifts, my stocking stuffer would have been Carpenter.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Um, could be happen in the future. Yeah. So I like it for them. I think Profar is a lefty, right?
Yes,
So I think he kind of takes the place of Profar because Profar's still a free agent um, for hitting, and they can see what happens. But yeah, I like the move for them. 1 year deal makes sense. And then I'm not sure, have they signed a first baseman, the Padres?
I do not know.
I can't. I thought they had signed. Yeah, Will Myers left, so maybe they were going to play Jake Cronenworth and have like Tatis as. Oh, they have Hassan Kim. He could play second because you have Bogarts at short.
Yeah, they still have
So
Cronenworth, right?
yeah, they have Cronenworth, so I think Cronenworth is the first baseman.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just curious. But yeah, so that makes sense for them. But yeah, those are some of the things that happened. We'll see there are other pitchers, I think, left on the market, lesser known pitchers. And I think we're going to see a lot of trades heating up. That's why I listed the players that could be traded. It will be interesting. I'm excited for it. And baseball season should start on time. So should be very exciting. Anything else, Austin?
No, I'm excited for the season to start. I'm ready. It's always a long. It doesn't feel. I mean, it feels longer than it is. It's not actually as long as maybe the gap between NFL seasons or MLB. I mean NBA or NHL, but it always feels dreary in the winter when there's no baseball going on. But there is signings, so hopefully there's bigger trades and we see more big moves happening.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll be reviewing those deals when and if they happen. That's all I got. And thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.